Well, good morning, Rotarians. Thank you for joining us. This meeting is called to order.
Where's your tie?
Excuse me?
Where's your tie?
I took it to the dry cleaner, so I'll be suited up next week. Good question. So shortly I'll be sharing my screen and leading us through another fun presentation to direct conversation. Periodically, I'll bring it down so that we can see each other's beautiful faces and have more dialogue. So feel free to speak out like you would in an in-person meeting. But if you're not using your microphone, be sure to mute yourself, or maybe I'll do it at the cost of a club fine. Yeah, that's Rick Sinner's favorite thing, club fines, right?
Sure.
Sure.
I am muted. I'm just not talking. I don't have to mute electronically.
Okay. Screen share. So yes, welcome to the Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club meeting, August 12th, 2020, Volume 7 of my Rotary presidential year. We have an amazing Rotary Club, and I am so thankful to be a part of it. And at this time, I would do introductions, and I believe, looking through the members here, I think our guest this morning is our speaker, Sean Griggs. Everybody make noise. Actually,
Good morning, Sean.
Hey.
Something I learned this week is that in sign language, if you want to clap, or show applause, you actually just go like this. So that's a cool way. So you can do both. You can do the side clap or like this. All right, we're going back to the screen share. Get ready. Okay, yeah. All right, at this time, we'd typically be doing the flag salute, but since our meeting is virtual, a little American history lesson. Did you know 1898 on this day, the Spanish-American War was ended with the signing of the Peace Protocol. This had the US acquire Guam, my wife's family's home country of Puerto Rico, or I guess US territory, and the Philippines, as well as Hawaii was annexed. There you go. And inspirational message from Dawn Watkins.
Thank you. Okay, this is just from a somewhat edited version of a recent eulogy, I guess. Okay. We see it in everybody doing the hard work of overcoming complacency, of overcoming our own fears and our own prejudices, our own hatreds. You see it in people trying to be better, truer versions of themselves. And that's where real courage comes from. Not from turning on each other, but by turning toward one another. Not by sowing hatred and division, but by spreading love and truth. Not by avoiding our responsibilities to create a better America and a better world, but by embracing those responsibilities, each with joy and with perseverance, and discovering that in our beloved community, we do not walk alone. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Dawn.
Thank you. Anybody can tell me who that's from? I will pay their fines.
Ooh, anybody?
Not because they have to get fines, so there's that.
Oh, I'll be giving out those. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. I don't think anybody's taking you up on the offer.
It's because they don't know. Okay, it's all good.
Moving on. Let's see here. Four-way test. We're going to go to John Sapper this morning. John?
Good morning. Is it the truth? In this day and age, we could probably just leave it right there. But there are three others. Is it fair to all concerned, and will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, John. Club announcements. We've got some sad news today. Former member Jerry Beacom died suddenly last week. So he's a former Fortuna Sunrise Club Rotarian. Our thoughts and prayers are with Herb and Karen. Please take a moment of silence in honor of Jerry. Okay. And we have a couple of things that have been on the board for a while. So if you have any questions, let me know. But moving on. Let's see here. Oh. Anybody have any club announcements before we get into the artist of the week? Oh, looks like Bob Judevine's raising his hand. Bob?
Good morning, Simon. I talked briefly with Mary yesterday, Mary Goodell, and she hasn't been in club the last couple of weeks because she got really sick on a road trip. She got food poisoning, and it affected her heart. So she had a scare. She's recovering. I told her I'd ask everybody to keep her in their thoughts and prayers, but she expects to be back for too long.
Thanks for that message, Bob. Anybody else? Okay. So a theme of my Rotary year is every week I'm introducing people to an artist. And this week I am sharing the art of Stephen Wiltshire. Stephen was born in London, United Kingdom, to West Indian parents in 1974. As a child, he was mute. He didn't relate to other people. At age 3, he was diagnosed with autism. And at age 5, Stephen was sent to Queen's Mill School in London, where he noticed that his only pastime that he enjoyed was drawing. It soon became apparent that he communicated through the world through the language of drawing, first animals, then London buses, and finally buildings. These drawings show a masterful perspective, a whimsical line, and reveal a nature of innate artistry. So we've got some beautiful building pictorials here. And if anybody has ever tried to illustrate architecture, it is very, very difficult. You have so many perspective lines going on, just tons of line work. It's insane detail, and you have a lot of kind of mathematics that's innately going on in your head to pull this off. And this guy just does it masterfully. His communication skills have gotten a lot better in his older age, but for a person who was born mute, had such a hard time communicating, it's amazing the work that he's produced. Structures. He's most well known for his structures, and in 2001 he appeared in a BBC documentary, Fragments of a Genius, for which he was filmed flying over London aboard of a helicopter, and subsequently completing a detailed, perfectly scaled aerial illustration of a 4 square mile area within 3 hours. His drawing included 12 historic landmarks and 200 other structures. Stephen's artwork has taken him to Tokyo, Rome, Dubai, New York, Sydney, Singapore, Mexico City, and just about everywhere in between. We've got some awesome pictorials, a self-portrait in the lower left-hand corner, and he's kind of imposed some buildings and automobiles, and as well as some figures in there, San Francisco Bridge, LAX, and you've got him looking at one of his panoramas. A lot of times he'll illustrate on these beautiful curved boards or canvases that kind of wrap around. Just amazing work. And I'm going to show you a very short video of Stephen's kind of process and artistic ways.
Was 5 years old. I was at the Queensland school. I used to draw things like buses, cars, trains, airplanes, animals, and people. Tokyo, Hong Kong, London, New York, Singapore, Mexico City, Seoul, Madrid, Jerusalem, Frankfurt, Rome, Padua. And in my head, of were memorized by a helicopter, and I took few pictures and then studied from the first sketch of it, and then look at it and concentrated on my sketch from the panorama from the helicopter, and then figuring out from my head and my mind, and then functioning, and then do it from the memory. Modern, stylish, and futuristic. Do the best you can and never stop.
Okay. So at this time, after I've introduced the artist, showed some of their work, given you some historical background, I typically call on a Rotarian to critique, discuss, interpret the type of medium. And this morning, I'm going to call on Rotarian Heather Kelly. Heather, could you unmute yourself?
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us a little bit about bird's eye view of the Freedom Tower and Brooklyn Bridge.
So I want to start by saying I've been dreading being called on since you started this.
Yes.
So thank you for the opportunity to know nothing about art in front of everybody. I'm amazed at his art though. I'm just going to probably take a fine because I am not educated in the world of art at all. So I don't even know like the type of mediums.
Well, Heather,
but I appreciate his art. I think it's beautiful and the details are amazing. And I find it interesting because working with adults with disabilities, a lot of people on the spectrum are so detail oriented like this, and it just always amazes me.
Man, you know, for not knowing anything about art, you said some really great things that I think touched it so well, Heather. So thank you so much for sharing that. How about, I think you did pretty darn good. I'm going to give you just a $10 fine this morning. Is that all right?
Will do. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see here. You know, every week I've been showing 3 pieces of art, one of them by a famous artist, and having you guess. So this week, Walt Giacomini, are you there, my friend?
I am.
Maybe? Yes. So your Dodge Caravan got stolen, and this event has gotten you wondering, where did the van go? Oh, no, which one of these 3 paintings is a Van Gogh? Is it 1, 2, or 3?
Oh, I'm going to say number 1.
1. Oh, no. I'm sorry, Walt. That's the that's the Lilac Bouquet by Paul Gauguin. So incorrect. $5 fine for you, sir. Let's see. Who should we move it over to? Who have I not called on yet? How about Don Jewett? You got a 50-50 chance, 2 or 3.
So, President Simon, I had a premonition that you were going to call on me.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been very tricky with your selection thing, because the one on the right, left looks like a Van Gogh with those little paint marks, kind of like the Starry, Starry Night.
Yeah.
So this is good for another $5 fine for me, I'm sure, but I'm going to say it's number 3 because number 3 does not look like a Van Gogh.
You are most correct, sir. That is The Backyards of Old Houses in Antwerp in the Snow by Van Gogh. Correct. No fine for you, sir. Excellent job. Excellent job. All right. So, weekly recognition. Every week I'm recognizing a Rotarian or maybe Rotarians in some special way with an illustration and maybe a little write-up. And this week, as it was my first week back at school, time was a little short, so I couldn't research as much as possible, but I still kept up with the tradition and did an illustration, and I've got a pretty cool write-up. So this week, the featured Rotarian is actually 2 Rotarians, Keith Borges and Steve Garrison. I don't know if you're with us this morning. Pumpkin farmers? What
They
does
are
it
with
mean? Well, I'll tell you, the pumpkin represents abundance and prosperity. The whole pumpkin represents the world that we live in now and is literally filled with the blessings waited to be granted. Each seed represents an opportunity available to you in this life. With an average pumpkin having about 500 seeds, you can literally count your blessings. And just like the pumpkin, these 2 club members bring abundance of talent, service, and the drive to make our club prosperous. The vine of a pumpkin ties directly into friendship and connection. The pumpkin receives all its nutrients from the ground through the vine and its connection to the world from which it grows. Much like the pumpkin, we gain our social and spiritual nutrients through the vine of friendship. Making a connection with another person is how we grow as individuals, find deeper meanings in our life, stay healthy and strong. Without a strong connection to others, we begin to shrivel up and lose our connection in the world we live. So both Steve and Keith, I believe, are friendly. They're connected to our club. They both have wonderful smiles that light up a room, and we are thankful to have them as club members in Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club. So give it up for Keith and Steve. So if you're with us, I think I saw Keith. Is Steve here as well? Or is he not? He'll get double fined if he's not. Oh,
They're
no,
both
he is.
here.
They're both here. Awesome. So, gentlemen, that recognition and jovial illustration has to be worth about the same as a ride for 2 on a carousel at Pier 39, right? How about a $10 fine?
Pumpkins? Can I pay you in pumpkins, Simon?
Only if they're stuffed with a $10 bill each.
That would really mess up the $10 bill, so.
Yeah. So yeah, just keep it dry and slide it to the treasurer when he sends out his next invoice. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being the pumpkin farmers of our club. And at this
Thank
week,
you,
we'll move
Simon.
into our weekly presentation, and I'm going to stop my screen share and pass it over to Program Chair Erin Dunn for the introduction.
Great, thank you. Sean, are you still with us even after that Van Gogh joke? Oh yeah, there you
Oh,
were. Great,
I'm
I
in.
thought we might have lost him. I'm proud to present artist Sean Griggs, in keeping with our president's theme of the year. He's a native Californian and has been creating art since childhood. Throughout college, he focused on illustration and design rather than painting, but in 1999 finally embraced the paintbrush and was found how much he enjoyed how forgiving the painting was compared to the tight rigidness of drawing with pen and ink, which is kind of interesting since we saw an artist that did that design piece. After 10 years of creating and running the Latin restaurant Casablanca, which I'm sure many of us have been to with his wife Maggie, his family moved back to the town where he was raised, Ferndale. And we've heard about how he lurks around Ferndale at 2 a.m. and you may have seen him at that time. The great thing about Sean is he's also totally connected to his community, not just Ferndale, but Humboldt as a whole. And he was first introduced to our club back in 2008 when he decorated a pig for Hog Wild and was one of our artists. And he did his Day of the Dead theme on the pig. And I just remember Kay Harden, who is also an artist, was just wild about that and made sure that she was the winning bidder on that. So thank you for what you've already contributed to our club and for being here this morning. I am super excited to hear about you and your art. Thank you, Sean.
Sweet, thank you. Thanks for having me. Right on. So what do you just want me to, how do you want to structure this?
Just tell us about you and your art, and then leave some time for questions.
Sure.
We just want to hear about you.
Yeah, well, you did a good summary. I back in 06, we moved back to Ferndale. I have 2 children. They were very small at that time, and so we wanted to move back somewhere where it was, where I grew up. I had a nice childhood in Ferndale, playing in the creek and stuff. So we had to try and give my kids the same thing. So that's kind of what prompted us. And we were kind of burning out on the restaurant. We were really burnt out on the restaurant, actually. And so we kind of threw the towel in and jumped off the cliff. And I opened up a small gallery down on Main Street, and was there for about 1.5 years, 2 years maybe. And then the old bookstore, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, Carlos Beneman had the old bookstore. It was a paint your own pottery place when we got it, but and so we took that over. And in fact, I've just finished, this whole COVID thing has given me a great opportunity to go in there and kind of revamp everything. I was one of those kids where my room had, like, all the walls had to be covered with posters, and I would change it around every couple months. And so this has been a really fun little project for me to kind of go back in there and kind of redo everything in there. So it's been kind of fun. As I can talk about, my inspirations are obvious. Humboldt County's, I can't think of a better place to live or be from. And I'm super proud of this place, and I like to capture it as much as I can. And that's kind of where I've been kind of morphing into lately. Coming out of the restaurant, I kind of chameleon to my environment. And when we had the restaurant, there was a lot of Day of the Dead, and I was traveling to Mexico and quite a bit. And so that really was a big part of my painting early on, is because painting was like Aaron was saying, it wasn't something that I really enjoyed too much until a certain time. Like in 2000 or 99, actually, it was, I would do pen and ink. And so if any of you know who Arthur Rackham is, he's a famous illustrator from back in the early 1900s. And I would try to emulate him. And I wanted to be a book illustrator, just like a children's book illustrator. And I was working on this one big project in pen and ink, and I use a dip pen because that's what he would use. And I like the varied line, and there's a couple things I like about using a dip pen. But one of the problems with a dip pen is it can bleed on your piece. And so I had traced something. This was like the 3rd tracing of it, and I was inking it in, and I was like literally 99% done, and there's a blob of ink falls on it. And at that point, I decided to embrace painting a little bit more. And that's what kind of got the ball rolling as far as painting goes. And so it was great, because what that did is I was able to work a lot bigger. I could use color, because before I was just using watercolor to embellish my ink drawings. This way I could use opaque color, which is much more saturated. And I just learned basically a whole new world, which I didn't really pay attention to when I was in college. I did not like painting at all. And so it was kind of neat to see it, progress from something that I really didn't find much joy in or enjoy doing at all. And it literally 180'd after this one instance that happened. So that was kind of a fun thing. But fast forward, it's been a great ride so far. I've created a lot of artwork, which is kind of the goal. And I have a lot of other giant projects that I'd like to try and get busy on at some point here in the future. I have a board game that I've been trying to get out for, I don't know, it's been too long. But I have a lot of cool projects that are kind of manifesting now with this little extra time that we all have. So that's been kind of the silver lining of this whole thing for me personally.
Tell us about the style, your style. Like, how would we know it was a Sean Griggs piece?
Well, one of the cool things about my path as an artist is, from hating painting for so long, I developed a really big affinity for drawing. And so, after doing it for a while, you become, that can become a habit. And so I think when I look at my work and I try to, decipher it or to try to break it down, I see a lot of drawing still in my painting. So I will start a drawing or start a painting. Number one, I'll start a painting. The first thing you'll notice is that I'll use a color, alizarin crimson, which is like this red maroon color, and I put that as a base on every painting I do. So every painting I do has this base of red underneath it. A couple of reasons for that. In the beginning, of course, it was just something because I liked this. I was just trying to play with this vivid color, and what happened was it for whatever reason I had success very early, so I just kept using it and doing it, and it turned into something where I don't paint anything on a white canvas ever. It's always on a tinted canvas of this red. And then what I do is I'll take and I use a fairly limited palette, and I'll take my blue, a phthalo blue, and I'll use that mixed with this red, and I'll draw what I'm painting on the canvas first or on the board. I use a lot of board as well. And so I have a drawing basically on this canvas, and then I'll take that dark color and I'll darken in all the spots that are the shadows, and then I'll let that dry. And then basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a drawing with paint, and then I'm filling in the fields of color with the paint afterwards, leaving small, like if you look at my paintings pretty close, you can see there's subtle lines still. I'll leave line work in there from time to time, and that's on purpose. And I like to add color to the lines, and so I don't completely abandon my drawing. I think drawing, drawing's a primal skill that we all have, whether you like to admit it or not. But what I like to do is I like to think about how we used to communicate when we were young as a species, and we would have to draw. We would draw on cave walls to show us how we're going to hunt, or to because we didn't have a language. So drawing is this really, I think, important aspect of art, at least for me, that I like to keep always honed in. So sketchbooks are a big deal. I'm always drawing in my sketchbooks, and yeah, drawing's important. So you'll always probably see a little bit of drawing in all of my paintings, hopefully.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
What do you know about local artists holding up during COVID-19 financially?
Yeah,
what are you hearing?
That's a good question. There's a lot of it's really interesting. Personally, it's been okay. I mean, of course, it's always better, but I've had a couple good commissions going into this thing that the clients decided to stay on track, which I'm super blessed and grateful for. It's still a struggle. My wife's an esthetician, so she's out of work right now. But it's social media is what I've been seeing, and one of the big things that started happening, and I was on the bandwagon for a while, but I jumped off because I had a couple other projects that I was working on. But I've seen a lot of artists go to posting their work live or painting live to generate interest in their work. Talking to a lot of my fellow artists, the people that I talk to, I see them painting as much as they've ever painted. And if anything, this is hopefully given all the artists an opportunity to paint even more and create more work. I still have people, I'm open by appointment only. I've kind of kept that on I don't advertise it, but people have they do call me, and it's getting, summer's here, and it's interesting because more and more people are calling me to come and see the gallery, and everybody's buying things too. So I'm super thankful personally. I can't speak as much for other artists that I've talked to. I mean, I see the likes of like Jim McVicker. He hasn't skipped a stride. That guy's painting like a monster still everywhere. A lot of the people like Kim Jarvella, he's all over the place still. I mean, I just, I'm looking at people on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm seeing hyper productivity, and I'm seeing a lot more work. Financially, I don't ask them. I don't, it's none of my business, but I hope everybody's doing great. That's all I can hope for. And I don't know if that answered your question, but I can tell you from a personal aspect, I guess. And from what I see around, I see a lot of people still creating a lot of art.
Do you think that, just from that conversation, do you think that there might possibly be historically a coronavirus period in artists in history?
You know what? That's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, it's spawned hashtags, people creating more art online. I was doing hashtag Corona, what was I calling it? Corona creation or something like that. I don't know. I had some little clever hashtag I was doing for a while, just because I was kind of, in that mode of creating a lot of work. And you might be absolutely right. I think that's a great, interesting question. I don't know how you would find out a stat on that, but I would bet money that there's been way more art created during this time than most typical times. Simon, chime in. What do you think of that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think people are creating a lot.
Way more. I mean, you just have more time, and if you got the bug, you're gonna scratch the itch. I mean, that's how I've been taking it, and so yeah, that's a really good point. I hope so. Let's hope we're a part of that. I'll push for it. That's great.
You might have to look back 50 years from now to see that period in history.
True. I'll tell my kids to look for it.
We've seen it in the past, with the Renaissance and so on.
Oh yeah, wars have dictated types of direction in art and different things. Yeah, yes, I think you're right. I think, and especially now with how available art can be to everybody. I mean, yeah, it doesn't take much to put your art in front of people. So, I mean, yeah, I have a feeling that you're definitely going to see. That's a really good question or good thought.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Explain a little bit about the Art Life Collective there. I came out and visited you guys. I mean, it's been years now, but I really love the energy of that group. Kind of explain the thought process behind that, some of the key players.
Yeah, well, most of I mean, if most of you are from the area or have been in the area for any amount of time, you probably heard of all the, that Ferndale is considered somewhat of an artist community. And, growing up as a kid, I was peeking over Jack May's shoulder every day after school, watching him on the corners or wherever he was lurking out. But, Ferndale's always had a big, collective of artists. Larry Eifert, Hobart Brown, Jack Mays. I mean, the list is Stan Bennett. I don't know if you guys all remember Stan Bennett. That guy was one of my favorites as a kid. He was more of a sculptor, but boy, you guys remember his little shop in the back of the Oddfellows building where he had all those little marble contraptions going on. Oh my gosh. As a kid, I mean, you're just going in there, you're just freaking out. It's like, what is this? It's like, I don't know. I could go on about that, but fast forward, coming into town, moving into town in 2006 after the restaurant, I dove in pretty much 100% into the art world because I had to start making a living again. And it was great to come back to a town that still had kind of those bones were still there. My good friend, Sonny Wong, which you guys may have seen Sonny Wong. He was living in town, and a recent move into town, Andre Hedstrom, who's a super close friend of mine, and an incredible painter, which if you guys have come into the coffee shop at Mind's Eye Manufactory, you've seen some of his work in there. He does in Tuyas. He's done all the work in Tuyas with the Frida Kahlo, and really, really colorful, lots of marks. It's just really wonderful things to look at. Spends a lot of time on that work. anyway, there was a group of us, and I'm trying to remember. I think the first meetup was at my gallery when I just finished putting it all together, and we met up there. I think there was about 5 of us. Sam Kagan was there. There were a handful of other artists there, and we took a canvas, and we all rotated and painted on. I think there were 5 canvases, and we just kept rotating around. But one of the canvases in particular, we were going to donate to this thing we called Art Life. And so we all painted on it, and we still have it up in the Art Life building. Well, what was going on next door in Mind's Eye Manufactory, which is the coffee shop now, that was Hobart Brown's old place. And it had been kind of not taken care of very well. But Mark Daniels, they bought the place and was nice enough to give studio space upstairs where all the bedrooms were, to Andre, Sonny Wong, Sam Kagan, and a few others. And so they would meet. We decided we would meet on Wednesday nights, and it was just this collective of artists that would meet up there, and we would just, BS and paint and draw. It just didn't matter what you did as long as you were creating art. And we'd listen to music and whatnot. The fortunate thing for us is there was a group of kids that Mark Daniels, the owner of the building, had hired to come up and help him kind of get this building back and freshen it up. And they were musicians, and they were incredible musicians. And we also had another musician in town, Darren Weiss, who does the Chicken Scratch show on K-Hum. And so he's mandolin player. So he would come and he would join these boys, and they would jam while we would paint. And so this just became this Wednesday night thing. And it just grew into this really, really wonderful time where there's all this artistic energy going in from all, and it was just all off the cuff stuff. So these guys would come in and they would literally just pick their instruments up and start just jamming for hours. And we would sit there and listen to this like incredible music while you're creating yourself. So it was just like the symbiosis that would happen, and it really tasted good. So we just all jumped in really hard, and we just created this thing called Art Life, which is this collective. Fast forward, the building got remodeled, and so the studio space had to vacate. And so we were trying to figure out how we were going to keep this going, and we were looking at barns, like maybe someone would let us rent out a barn of theirs and we could go and meet, because we needed space. And it turned out that the creamery building, the old creamery building by No Brand Burger Stand, or my buddy Andre needed a place for his office, because he's also, he's president of a company down in San Francisco, and that's what brought him up here. He could work remotely. And so Andre got this space, and we have this wonderful space now above the creamery there, and it's really a great place. And Andre has his work there. I have a little cubby hole. I feel like Les Nessman. Remember Les Nessman from WKRP in Cincinnati? No walls, but it's like this little zone. It's my little zone, and I don't know. It's really fun. So we haven't been up there since this whole COVID thing. So we were just talking about the other night, Andre and I, we have a Dungeons and Dragons group too, that we play Dungeons and Dragons. I've been able to introduce my son to it. Yeah, I know, it's great. Which gets me to draw and sketch every night. So when we play Dungeons and Dragons, I just get to draw. So it's another opportunity to draw. But yeah, so now we have this other space, though we haven't been up there in a while, but yeah, it's still going. And we've kept Zoom meetings going. And actually tonight we're hopefully going to do one, but it's kind of falling off. So we just had an email go out saying, hey, we gotta at least meet up once a month or something, just to talk and keep the ball rolling. On the side note of that, right before the COVID thing hit on Friday the 13th, we were going to have a big group show. It was the first group show that I've ever had at my studio, and it was going to be an Art Life show. So it's actually still pretty much hung up. And I took a lot of the people that were part of Art Life and hung some of their artwork up. And so now I'm thinking maybe a virtual show is in order. So hopefully that'll happen soon. So you'll know about that if that happens. But yeah, Simon's been up there. Don's been up there. Simon, you guys were coming up a lot doing your comic. That was super fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that thing still going?
It's kind of backburnered, but we started going to a figure drawing group, the same members. So we're
good.
doing figure drawing pretty regularly on Sunday nights at Dean Smith's studio. And he's like one of the only figure drawing teachers that are keeping it going through this. So we all kind of socially distance, wear masks, and come in and the model wears a mask. And
Oh shoot! Send me the link.
okay,
I'll bring a few people over. Or are you doing it virtual?
No, it's in person. It's in person. We cap out at like 8 or 11 people, but
Okay.
I can send you a link to it when
Please do.
college is
Talk
just
about a
about to
workout.
start.
Try drawing nude people. That is the workout. That is an incredible workout. Difficult.
Any other questions for Sean Griggs this morning?
I have another one. I think it's very fascinating how these little core groups of artists hang out together, because I remember in the past when Steve Porter and Mick Vickern, Stock Schluter and all those guys, which are a little bit group older than you, would all hang out together. But and then you look back in history, and in Europe, you'd see the same thing. At little groups would get together and they'd feed off of each other. I find it fascinating that that's happening with you guys.
Yeah, that is. It's an interesting thing. I guess what's the thing? Birds of the same feather flock together. Is that what they say? I guess. Is that the right way to say it? Anyway, but yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, it's definitely, and it's cool to be. It's always fun to be part of a collective. It's fun.
Yeah.
Good critiques.
And those same things apply to service too. That's what Rotary is. We're a service club, right? And we get together because we want to do good things in our community, and we all have those common interests. We may have completely diverse backgrounds, but we come together to make, our art of service. So that's an awesome thing. There's a lot of relationships between those two things.
And inspiration for new ideas, and is the groups are great. Groups are great.
Thank you so much, Sean. It was great. It was great having you come. You're the first artist that we've had since I took over as president. I've been doing this artistic theme. So thank you so much. It was really great. It was in line with the kind of theme of the year. And I think because we're getting towards the end, we'll do our drawing, and then I'll ding this bell and let everybody go, okay?
All right.
So let's see here. Who am I going to draw today? Who's going to be the big winner? Who's going to be the winner? Oh, Fred Robinson. You still here, buddy?
He's gone.
He's gone. Okay. We lost him. All right. Okay. Maybe he fell on that exercise equipment. Frank Ramos, you still with us? Yes, he is. You did win Untold Fortunes, or how much, Ross?
$95.
Holy moly. Will you win the money? Will you win the money? All right, here it goes. Oh, it's a white ball. Pay $5. Oh, man. All right, well, thank you very much for paying $5. And thank you, everybody, for coming out. Is there anybody who has any announcements? Oh, Ross?
I have a real quick one. I just looked up the district attendance, and we are #2 club for attendance per capita of all the clubs in the district. Only Petaluma Valley is above us. So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, but what's Petaluma Valley's membership?
Oh, I don't know, 400 something.
Yeah.
Goodness. We are crushing it, you guys. Thank you for showing up every week. Thank you for the good that you do in the world. Once again, if anybody thinks of anything that we can do in these times to service our community, the world at large, please let me know. Let's make some traction here, all right? All right.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sean.
I enjoy the Wednesdays with you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, President Simon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you, Sean.
It was good, man.